Hi friends, I just decided to record this video even though it's so impromptu. I never really intended to make a video like this today, but I had an encounter online that I really decided I should actually tell everyone about what happened. Now, I don't know how many of you may have seen a tweet that has been going around in the last couple of days of assuming I'm just assuming it's a Muslim woman who was in the niqab and completely covered, and she was shouting or protesting an LGBT parade where we could hear her shouting "shame on you" and things like that on the people who were one particular person who was part of this LGBT parade. And of course, everyone has something to say about it online. I had myself made a post about it, just left it there without much commentary about her behavior. But what really caught my attention was a tweet that was put out by a British MP, in fact, a well-known abortion advocate who is also in the British Parliament. Her name is Stella Creasy. A lot of us who are in the pro-life movement actually know her. I don't know a lot of the British MPs, but I know her particularly because she's one of those that we would normally hear her name associated with some abortion bill or some massive push, for the abortion of innocent unborn babies. So at least her name was quite recognizable once I saw her. And she tweeted about this protester at the LGBT protests. And what she said, in fact, I should put out a copy of her tweet here for you. She says she's gutted by this show of, I think it was something like show of hatred. She's gutted by the behavior of this woman who is shouting and protesting at an LGBT pride parade. Now, why it was quite shocking to me to actually see her post is that not too long ago, only last year in 2018, we were all at the March for Life London. I myself went as well as a participant at the March for Life London of 2018. It was a legal, peaceful march. They had, the organizers had taken time to ask for permission from the police to march through the streets of London on that day, as is the usual thing with pro-life people. We only went through the path that was charted out for us by the police. We marched peacefully. There were a lot of children with us. There were a lot of families, young families with us, a lot of teenagers, and we were marching through the streets of London, not insulting anyone, as is always the case. Really, I've marched in different places around the world, but it was like most other pro-life marches that I had attended. Now, what had surprised me was that during this march, on the roadside, we saw something that looked like this. If you recognize the woman in blue, or if you don't recognize the woman who is in blue shouting at pro-life people, they had signs and all kinds of things. That is actually the same MP, Stella Creasy, who had said how much she was gutted, her exact words, how much she was gutted by the kind of hatred that this protester was showing at the LGBT march. Well, that hater in our own case was Stella Creasy last year. She was out there, she was yelling. Yes, she said she didn't yell anything abusive, but the point is that a British member of parliament comes out to protest a march that had been authorized, a march that had been already pre-planned. I have never heard of a British MP coming out, for example, to march and protest against abortion in the UK. I haven't actually seen it once, but here was this pro-abortion MP who was out there yelling at us. And in that particular group, at least what I had heard at the point when I encountered this group, some of them had really horrible and vile things to say to us. Anyone who has marched at a pro-life march in any part of the world where abortion is legal would also maybe have the experience of people who are there shouting, yelling at you, saying shame on you for being against women, who tell us, F you and things like that. They have horrible signs with vile messages sometimes. In this particular group of protesters, in fact, in this picture I'm putting out here, you can see Stella Creasy standing right in front of a woman who had the picture of a uterus. And what do you see in that picture is actually the uterus giving the middle finger, yes, to pro-life marchers that will include children. And Stella Creasy is there. Is she trying to stop them from their vile protest? No, she's actually egging them on, and she's smiling. And as you could have seen in that video, she was even filming as well, which one could say in a way could be recorded as an intimidating thing. If you see a member of parliament, a member of the British House of Commons recorded and filming something, standing in collaboration or standing in support of people who have come to protest you that you have come in your own authorized capacity to march for, to witness to the dignity of human life, probably you might be intimidated. And this was exactly how I felt, and this was exactly how many pro-life people felt. In that video actually of her protesting us, I could actually hear someone shouting something towards her from the pro-life side, saying something like, we're for right to life, we want the right to life of the unborn. And she's smiling and she's acting all cocky and arrogant. Anyway, I put out this video this morning on Twitter, and I said this is actually quite interesting that this MP who we saw last year acting in almost in the same capacity as this woman, she is yelling at us. She is trying to put shame into pro-life people that will include children. And I'm saying, well, what a hypocrisy. Anyway, I put out this video on Twitter. And what do you know, Stella Creasy actually at some point replied and said that there was nothing abusive that she did, and if I should stop contacting her unless I can show her what she did wrong. And I wrote her back, and there was a couple of tweets going back and forth, and I wrote her back and said, I am not contacting you, Member of Parliament Stella Creasy. I am not contacting you. I'm just pointing out your hypocrisy and the behavior that a British MP will actually come out to protest a legally authorized and peaceful pro-life march. I think it's a shameful thing. But what she then did was she, of course, by the time I was going back and forth with her on Twitter, yes, people were replying to me, people were replying to her. Those who supported her were actually, kind of insulting me and saying, oh, how dare you compare her to this other person, And then people who, maybe who don't like her were actually commenting as well. And somebody made some really nasty comments, something like a troll. This guy has like all of 30 followers. He's probably a troll, he's probably a bot, but obviously, she just grasped it as an opportunity to show herself as a victim. And she said, yes, you see the hatred, you see what I have to suffer from the anti-abortion campaign and the anti-abortion people. And of course, she took it to her own timeline, showing what this horrible guy, who I had actually reprimanded and said, you have to delete these tweets. They're really, really ugly and awful tweets. But she went to her timeline and she used that opportunity saying, look at what I have to suffer, because I'm for women's rights and things like that. And everyone's, oh, we're so sorry, and apologies, and you shouldn't be suffering this. Like, she made herself out to be a martyr. See what she did? She actually applied the usual tactic that is applied by a lot of the pro-abortion campaigners. She completely tried to avoid debating me directly because I don't have any insults to offer. I'm just calling her out on hypocrisy. I am just a regular woman, a Nigerian pro-life black woman living in the United Kingdom legally as a legal immigrant. She will not debate me, but she wants to show that a representative of the whole pro-life movement is this crazy man who is shouting insults at her. Well, Stella Creasy, congratulations to you. You have managed to reframe the issue, but none of us are actually stupid. You told me that you were going to consider my tweets. After like 2 tweets to me, she said that she's now going to consider my tweets as spam. So, then she ignored me. She ignored the black woman who is pro-life and who has her own views on abortion. And she decided to show that, the person who is representing me is this guy with 30 followers who is, insolent and who is abusive and who, of course, is probably stupid, hanging around somewhere in some basement, tweeting these things to trigger her. He's probably not even pro-life because he made a comment about how, they should abort themselves. Anyone who tells you that you should abort your children is not pro-life. And you cannot, Stella Creasy, you cannot, in all honesty, try to show this guy as a representative of the pro-life movement when myself, a black African woman, I am there ready to debate you, ready to discuss with you, ready to show your hypocrisy. But she didn't want to talk about the fact that she was part of a protest movement, protesting a peaceful march in the heart of London, and yet she is a representative, a member of parliament. Her behavior could have easily been seen as intimidation. Her behavior would have easily been seen as her actually encouraging hatred against pro-life people. She didn't want to discuss that fact, but she wanted to show that she is such a martyr for the abortion movement. But we're not stupid. We are not stupid. That's fine. But I wanted you all to know, friends, what has been going on, and to tell people to make sure that, they keep calling out this kind of behavior, this kind of hypocrisy. It's either the woman who she was referring to, is either that woman, her hatred will be the same as anyone who is coming out to shout F you at pro-life people. The hatred of a protester is a hatred of a protester. It doesn't matter whether you are protesting a pro-life, a peaceful pro-life march, or a peaceful LGBT march. So it's, if you want to call it hatred, then you're going to have to call it hatred all through. You're going to have to say that what Stella Creasy was engaging in is hatred. Or you are going to allow people to their rights to protest, or, whatever be the case, to their rights to peaceful protest. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to share with you all. And, it's quite an experience for me when on any given day when I have to then turn around and call out a British member of parliament. All right, love you all. Bye.